One of the biggest episodes of Season 3 in overall plot progression was Time Tagger. Introducing us to the powers of the Rabbit Miraculous, it opened up the story to the wide world of time travel, and revealed a number of things about the future of the characters. Most important amongst these is that there's a new HAWKMOTH that the adult heroes have to contend with. So that means after all that, even when they finally beat Gabriel, they won't get the Butterfly Miraculous back, and someone else is going to get it, and they're going to use it for the exact same purpose in the exact same way. Anyway, since it's made explicitly clear in the episode that it's not Gabriel, let's run through the possible candidates for the future big bad guy, from least likely to most likely. Starting with the most unlikely possible identity for HAWKMOTH, it's Chloe. The last time we saw her, she'd teamed up with HAWKMOTH and stole a bunch of Miraculuses because she was salty that she wasn't going to get to be Queen Bee anymore. So, as of the start of Season 4, she's firmly in the villain group. But that's really the only thing she has going for her in terms of being the next HAWKMOTH. For starters, she's an idiot, plain and simple. Now, I'm not saying Gabriel Agreste is a genius by any means. I mean, he constantly gets beaten up by a bunch of teenagers, dozens upon dozens upon dozens of times. I mean, does he just wake up every day and think to himself, I know, today I'm going to akumatize the random guy who feeds the pigeons again. This time he won't fail, I'm sure. So yeah, while he isn't the smartest supervillain ever, at least he isn't dumb enough to publicly reveal his identity to the whole world. If Chloe was HAWKMOTH, she'd let everyone know because she's a dumb egotist. Also, it would run opposite to her obvious incoming redemption arc, so there's that as well. Next up, we have Emily Agreste. Now, this might be a bit of a long shot, but she's more likely than Chloe. I've made a video before speculating that Emily's going to turn out to be a major villain in the future. I think it makes sense for her to not be as nice as we've been told she is by Adrian and Gabriel. Plus, she ended up in a coma through using the Peacock Miraculous too much, and I have a feeling she wasn't doing the Lord's work. But at the same time, she's probably not a good fit for the next big villain. She hasn't really been introduced, and she won't wake up until the end of Gabriel's time as HAWKMOTH. It would be a bit out of the blue to suddenly say, oh, she's the main villain going forward, so that's a no from me. And now we come to the two most likely people to follow Gabriel as the next HAWKMOTH. First, we have Felix. Now, we haven't really seen much of Felix, but we do know he's a jerk. Like, such a jerk. But beyond that, we don't really know what he's like and what his motivations are. He doesn't really know a whole lot about Miraculuses, and he doesn't seem to have a motive to become a supervillain, but that means he's just a blank slate which can be built up through Seasons 4 and 5. But kind of like Emily, it would be a bit out of the blue for him to suddenly be the next big villain. Plus, it would mean that 3 members of the same family are supervillains, and that the 2 HAWKMOTHs are people close to Adrian. It would just be a repeat of what we've seen, and pretty lazy writing. That being said, I think it's still a likely possibility. And now we come to Lila, and this is the most obvious possibility for the next HAWKMOTH. It's heavily hinted at in Time Tagger that this is the case. After we find out from Time Tagger that there's a new HAWKMOTH in the future, we eventually see Lila babysitting Chris, who gets akumatized into Time Tagger in the future. The only way they could make this hint more obvious is if they bring back the Thomas Astruc character and he draws her a picture of a butterfly. It's very on the nose. But beyond that, it just makes sense. She hates the heroes, particularly Ladybug, with a burning passion, so that gives her a motive for wanting her defeated and to take her Miraculous away. She already has a built-in relationship with the current HAWKMOTH, which could end up going one of 2 ways. Either he gets his wish and then abandons the Butterfly Miraculous, or he gets backstabbed by Lila and she steals it from him. Personally, I hope she ends up betraying him because it just fits her character. She's a user of people, just like him, and it would be a good way to wrap up his character arc, defeated by the villain he created. Plus, the actual power of the Butterfly Miraculous fits her character. She lies to people, manipulates people in situations to achieve her own goals. It sounds like a Miraculous that can possess angry people and manipulate them to achieve your own agenda would be right up her alley. Plus, if you add Felix to the mix and give him a Peacock Miraculous, you'll get the perfect villains for Adrian and Marinette. A HAWKMOTH whose one goal in life is to manipulate people and get what she wants, and a vain, self-centered Peacock as her sidekick. They could be a dark reflection of Ladybug and Cat Noir. So that's all the possible future HAWKMOTHs in my mind, but as I said before, I think Lila makes the most sense for the role. That being said, are there any other characters that you might think fits? Let me know.